Hi, I am Ali Nisus, registered nurse and managing director of Nice Us Geriatric Home Care Training and Agency Limited, and this is Return the Favor, a web series giving you tips on how to properly care for your elderly parents. They took good care of you as a child, so now it's time to return the favor. And today it's episode 12, and we'll be looking at how to prevent pressure ulcer sores. So we have recently concluded a 4-part series on a lot about wounds. We looked at the basics of skin anatomy and physiology. We looked at wound types and the dynamics of healing, etc. So that spanned between episode 8 to episode 11. So check that out. I will put the link in the description so you can have a look at them. Today, on the same vein, no pun intended, we are going to look at pressure ulcers. And I'm sure everyone has heard they've basically heard that term before, pressure ulcers or bed sores. So what is it? It is an injury to the skin and underlying tissues that occurs when there's prolonged pressure to a pressure area. So it's not just prolonged pressure, period. It must be over a pressure area. So what is a pressure area? Well, a pressure area is a bony area that is more likely to get forces applied over it while a person is sitting or lying. So the definition, the criteria really, the skin must be thin over a bony area, so it must be like a joint, right? And there must be pressure exerted on it over a period of time. So we're looking at areas like the back of the head. If you're lying down, you're paralyzed, and you're lying down, you always have pressure exerting because the weight of your head will be applied to the base of your head, which is touching the mattress, right? You have the ears, the shoulders, the elbows, the back, the buttocks. So we're looking at someone who is bedridden, completely cannot move. Their body weight is just resting on them and exerting through them onto the mattress, and that pressure causes the breakdown of tissue. So this is common in persons who are either bedridden or wheelchair bound, right? Now, pressure ulcers in itself is not normal. You do not have to have pressure ulcers or bed sores if you are, bedridden or wheelchair bound. And honestly, pressure ulcers are a sign of poor care. It is a sign of neglect. So, in order to prevent pressure ulcers, because they are extremely painful, extremely inconvenient, and nobody deserves that. Like, no one, right? So it's a sore point with me. I really don't like to see it. And so this is definitely one of the most important episodes we're doing to help people understand and know how to assess and to prevent. It is so preventable. So let's not allow it to happen. So how to prevent them? So we're looking at, first step is to make them out. Assess. How do you assess? Well, it's the skin you're looking for. Now, if you go back to all the areas that I mentioned, right? It's like a head to toe examination, right? So you look for redness. You look for discoloration. In darker persons, you wouldn't see redness. You may see like a purplish kind of color. That may be a bed sore. And I tell you, it will look normal on the surface, but underlying it is havoc, because remember, it's pressure you're dealing with. It's not when the skin breaks, that's when all the damage is done. You have damage internally first, and then the skin breaks. So by the time the skin breaks, the tissue underneath has already been damaged, right? So if you get it, when you see the discoloration, you see the redness, or you see the purplish kind of color, and you stop it, then you can save yourself and your relative a whole lot of problems. Feel the areas. So you're not going to just feel random areas. Remember, it's the bony areas, the pressure areas that you're focused on. So it may have increased warmth in that area, it may have increased dryness, or it may have increased moisture. I say those things because the dryness and moistures are conditions that create bed sores, right? So that's where, if you realize that your relative is left in urine a lot of times, we're not going to say why, but maybe the urine has built up over the night or something like that. You have to be aware it is a condition. Those are the conditions that may cause bed sores way easier than if they were dry, right? You can test for dehydration as well, because dehydration is another condition that may cause bed sores. So how we do it? You look at the palm of you test in the skin on the back of the palm of the hand, and you pinch it up. And if it delays going back to normal, then that is dehydration. So when you pinch it, it's supposed to go back really, really fast. Now in the elderly, it will have some delay because the skin turgor is different. It's less, it's not as bouncy as a normal person, as a young adult. But with dehydration now, there's a marked sign that the skin, it pulls away from the body and it seems as if it just sticks onto itself. Yeah. And definitely when you do any kind of assessment, write them down. The weakest ink is greater than the mightiest memory, right? Write down your assessments so that you can share this information with the support of your relatives' medical team, right? These assessments are better done during a bed bath. You know, it's less intrusive, it's more considerate. I'm not going to ask my relative to just take off their clothes like that. Let me do it at a time where your clothes going to be off anyway, and always ask for consent. Let them feel comfortable and make sure that they know what is going on, right? So we want to prevent bed sores. What are the conditions that cause bed sores? You have a bony area with a thin layer of skin, so it's called a pressure area. You have pressure exerted on that area. How can we prevent it? Moisture makes the skin more susceptible to bed sores. So you don't want too much moisture. You don't want your relative lying in urine for too long. You need that area dry. What you can do is put cotton in the pamper, and the cotton now kind of draws the urine away from the person's skin. If they are bedwetters, that they wet the bed for a lot, like some people, they urinate a lot during the night, and there's nothing you can do to prevent a lot of urine over 8 hours unless you're up all night, right? So you can put some cotton and it kind of pulls it away. Wrinkled sheets, you would not believe, if you have wrinkles in the sheet, they literally dig into the skin and can cause bed sores, and that it's a phenomena that a lot of people miss. So if you have someone who is bedridden, please ensure that the sheet that they lie on is perfectly straight, right? Items on bed, you can forget a coin on the bed, and that coin will make a depression into that person's skin and cause a bed sore. So you really need to ensure that there's no coin, there's no rice. A rice grain can cause a bed sore. Make sure that the bed is clean and free of any items. Dehydration, if your relative is dehydrated, they don't have the water that they need, their skin needs water, and the skin now is not as strong, it's susceptible to bed sores. Dry skin as well. So on one side of the continuum is moist skin, too moist. The other side is too dry. For dry, if somebody's skin is dry and you pass your nail on it, you will see the whiteness. That skin is not as healthy as it should be. So don't keep the skin too waterlogged, but definitely moisturize and make sure that the skin is not too dry. Malnourishment can lead to the causation of bed sores. If your relative is not getting the protein that they need and the fiber and all these good stuff that they need to stay healthy. The skin now, the skin is a luxury accessory. It's not as important as your brain and your heart and your lungs. So the body is not going to take the little nutrients it have and give it to the skin. And so if your skin is not healthy, you can get bed sores. Frequent turning is key. If you have someone who is bedridden, you must turn them every 2 hours. Every 2 hours, 4 for the most, you're going to leave them in a position, right? And you can turn them so they lie on their back, they lie on the left side, they lie on the right side, and they lie on their back again. So you can rotate it like that. So 2 hours on the back, 2 hours on the left side, 2 hours on the right side, 2 hours again on the back, right? So you give space. You have to that the bed sore is exerted pressure over time. You break that pressure off and you space it out, and you're not going to get any bed sores. And then the final condition, use of devices. So you can use devices to prevent bed sores, and we're looking at ripple mattresses, airings, and even pillows, because when you have the body on a firm surface, it's going to be harder. But if you put a pillow now, the pillow is going to soften that area, so the pressure is not that bad, right? And early detection means less complications. So this is a very important episode for persons who have relatives who are bedridden. Please look at it, take notes, practice, and help prevent bed sores. Bed sores are painful. They are horrible. They can get all the way down to someone's bone. It can be very traumatizing. All right, so join us again for the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe to get more content like this. And if you want more details on the topic for today, check out the blog on our website. Link in the description. Until next time.